What makes a level good? I mean, what makes really any form of art good? Everyone has different opinions on that, obviously, but for me it's pretty simple. I don't want a level to show me where it is. I want it to take me there. Welcome to Creator Logs, where I build worlds and show you how. So this is where our story begins. This is a really old cellar at my brother's house. It's basically just a cave full of random junk. There's this crawl space over here, and when I first looked at this thing, my brain went where any normal person's brain would go, and I thought about how it basically probably leads to Cave Narnia. It's called being imaginative. I'm not weird, shut up. And so I came up with an idea of a cellar path. A path that leads through ancient ruins and magical forests, through crystal caverns and gaping mines. And that's what I wanted to do in this level. So there's not a lot going on right now, but it's helpful to get a good base to work off of. I really tried to cement in that cellar theme. The windows are really high up where they'd be above the ground, and I tried to get this really grungy, grimy feeling, kind of similar to the original cellar I showed you. So one thing I did to do that was get this dirt down here, and I actually put in some glow strips attached to the walls to really tie in the two elements. So another big thing I added is that in the song you'll notice there's these thunder sounds, and I wanted the windows to flash like lightning to those thunder sounds. It even pulses different colors when you hear these like weird, mysterious, creepy sounds in the background, which I thought was a really cool detail. Another thing I wanted to do in this level is, so there's a lot of different details, but I want each detail to be as low object as possible, because a lot of really good extreme demons look great, but like no one can run them in full detail, and I want to try to change that, at least do my best. So for example, these windows are just made of 4 of this object rotated around, with a black square and just a square for shadow behind it, and then the lighting is just made up of 4 objects, scaled way up, sorry if you don't have scale hack. And so in total, each window is only 10 objects. So now it's time for the block design. As you can probably see right now, there aren't a lot of details, and that's because just like with the background, it's good to start off with a base. Really just to help establish the theme of the structuring and make sure that every detail you add on fits in with that theme. I also have a couple different kinds of structures, like I have those weird like rickety wood mushroom structures, whatever they are. I have the little like spear things hanging from the ceiling. I have those boxes on chains somewhere in here. I have some boxes on the ground. Really, I just wanted to reuse a lot of the same structures, but at the same time not make it feel repetitive, so I have a few different types being mixed together. I also have like the portals being connected to their own thing that helps add some variation. Another thing with those portal structures is that they kind of bounce down, same with the boxes on the chains. So there's a lot of people who use movement in gameplay like all the time, and that's how they make their levels quote-unquote good. I don't believe in that. I believe that there's a lot of better ways to add energy to a level, but I wanted to use that sparingly here with a few different structures, just to emphasize that kind of rickety falling apart feeling. Another thing you might have noticed is that the wood texture on these structures seems like it's being masked. Now there's nothing crazy going on here, it's just that the ones on the side are actually behind the ones in the middle, and then I just moved them out to the side a little bit, and because of the way the wood texture looks, it just lets you do that and it looks fine. Finally, as I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to keep all the assets in this level as low object as I can, and so for example these boxes I just added are only 5 objects each. So yeah, that's pretty much the base block design done, and now it's time to add detail. And the details are in. I tried to continue this dingy, rickety feeling that I've been building up with how I detailed and the other little connectors and stuff I added. I also tried to fill up more space that was kind of empty, but not just with random air deco. I wanted everything to be physically connected together and feel like an actual like physical thing inside the environment. For the orbs, I connected them to the top and bottom with these little like mesh structure things, not sure what to call them to be honest. And also I put in some more boxes. I kind of wanted to stick with that box theme, just like a lot of storage in this cellar. It makes sense. There's gonna be even more boxes, trust me. There's gonna be so many boxes. You better be prepared. If you think this is too many boxes, you haven't even seen the beginning of it. There's so many boxes. All I see is boxes when I close my eyes. Okay, we're back with more progress. First of all, yes, there are more boxes. I warned you. So what I focused on here is just filling up the background with more stuff, because before it was just some blank walls, and that doesn't really tell a story. I wanted to fill this up with like shelves and a furnace and other stuff that you'd find in a cellar to really, as I've said earlier in the video, bring you there. I don't want just to show where this area is supposed to be, I want to kind of immerse people in it. And so I also tried to get multiple layers with the boxes and the stuff on the walls just to give it some depth. Another thing I did was add some wiggly movement to the structures to help it feel more alive and just kind of rickety. And lastly, there's one very important thing on the back of the wall. You probably noticed it at the beginning of the video, and that is this Cellar Path map. Basically, like I said, this level is going to take you through many different sections, some ancient ruins, magical forests, crystal caves, gaping mines, those are the ones I said. And those are all areas on this map. I thought that was just kind of a nice way to sum up the level at the beginning with kind of the intro credits. But what makes me really happy is that this is now starting to take on a story. It's not just a place, it's a place with a story and reasoning behind it. You're no longer just traveling through different scenes, you're on an adventure, and the player gets to be a part of that adventure, and that's really what I want this level to feel like. Okay, so that part went on for a little bit long, but don't worry my short attention span friends, we're back to rapid firing new features. Pretty much all I did here was add a bunch of details to the ground, but it really adds a lot. It helps tie in everything together, and acts as a nice transition between the structures and the borders, so it doesn't feel like it's just cut off, and adds to the immersion. It also helps make it feel more organic, which is what I was trying to go for. I don't want it to be so sterile and straight. I want everything to be a little janky and have a lot of different shapes to it. Also, these mushrooms are only 2 objects, hehe. There's something this part's still missing though, and that's the small little environmental details to help bring it to life. I really only added 2 things here, and that is these cobwebs made out of the different thorn objects on low opacity blending, and these little particles flying around. They might be bugs, they might be dust, who knows, could be both. I used the corner piece object because its rotation center point is actually on the opposite corner, so when you rotate it around, it kind of wobbles around like that. These things might seem small, but they really help in bringing a level to life. But there is one more thing. Here, just give me a second, Okay, that's better. That's such a dumb joke. So another very important element of making an atmospheric level is the lighting. Lighting is huge in any form of art, animation, film, drawing, and geometry dash levels. It does lower performance a little bit because of all the different overlays I added, and I added a lot of them. They do add up. But low detail mode will disable these, so it's not too big of a problem. And in the end, the performance still seems to be pretty fine. So I want to explain a few different layers I have going on here. First of all, I added some lighting and shading to the structures, and I added these little lamps hanging down, just another atmospheric detail. And what I actually did is I had the lighting on the structures flicker in the same way that the lighting of the lamps does, and the closer it is to the lamp, the stronger it flickers. I also have some vignettes going on here where it's just some darker shading on the sides that just kind of brings your focus to the center. I have a flickering overlay also flickering the same way that the lamps do. I have an overlay that goes to the lightning, so the lightning kind of lights up the room. One more tiny detail is I actually added some subtle black glow over the player that kind of makes the player a little bit less bright and just kind of fits their lighting with the environment's lighting a little bit better. I'm really happy with how this part looks. It was definitely a journey to build this, but it's super immersive. I really feel like I succeeded in making an environment that feels real. And yeah, on to the next part. But first, let's talk about gameplay. I haven't really said much about the gameplay in this level, and I don't really plan on covering it much, just a little bit here and there, but there is one thing I want to mention. In the part I just built, you might have noticed something strange. If you know a lot about this game, you'll know that certain game modes have a fixed camera border, and certain game modes let you go freely up and down as much as you want, those being the robot and cube. Now, this is the cube game mode, but it still has a fixed camera border, which that's kind of weird. How did I do that? So this entire level is actually a dual game mode, and that's why the sign is here, because another thing about the dual game mode is that it makes ships heavier for some reason. Dual ships are heavier than normal ships. I don't know, Rob Top Games. So why is the whole level a duel anyway? Like, what's the point? First of all, I mean, I haven't really seen any extreme demon do this before. There might be one, I don't know extreme demons that well, but plus 10 originality points. More importantly, it creates kind of a tight, closed-in feeling. I want this level to really feel claustrophobic, like you're deep underground, and having the camera be fixed like that really helps add to the immersion and helps create that feeling. Speaking of this level feeling closed in, this next part is the crawl space that leads to the rest of the Cellar Path. And so this part is probably the most closed in out of any of the parts. So that means that most of the screen is being taken up by these dirt mounds, and there's just a small little gap that the player's going through. So my plan is to really fill these mounds with lots of stuff, but for now I just have the bare essentials. Another interesting thing about this level, besides just the whole thing being a duel, is that I want most of the level to feel like one continuous part. That means very few hard transitions that cut to another part, or have like something swipe across screen or a flash. You can see stuff from the previous part as it transitions into the next part. You can see both parts at the same time. So for this part, I've made it so when you jump through this dirt mound, it shows you clearly where you're gonna go, and then it disappears and opens up into the gap, as if you're going inside of that crawl space, and then the camera is showing you what's inside there. And with the continuous part feeling, there's gonna be a lot of things that carry over from previous parts. For example, the lighting from the previous part, those overlays are carrying over to the second part, along with the little dust particles. For the designs, I plan on using a lot of things like wires and pipes and other stuff you'd find buried like underneath a house. So the spikes are connected to the top and bottom mounds with these wires that use this specific object. This is not the last time I'm going to use this object. You can make so many designs with this thing, you're just wait and see. And the spikes themselves are kind of industrial feeling. I tried to make them like pretty bright, just so that the gameplay is clearly visible. I don't want to make another golden. Yeah, alright, I think we're ready to add some more details. First thing, I added some more wires. I thought it would be cool to have some hanging down from the top and moving slightly faster at a parallax to create a little bit of depth. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm carrying a lot of things from the previous parts into parts further in the level, and so I have the mushrooms and cobwebs from the first part that just kind of tie everything together. Basically, it's a fancy way of saying I'm lazy. I also have some wires just kind of looping around, as wires do. Moving forward is when I started to texture everything. For the background, I used this cracked rock looking stuff. On the structures themselves, I have these brick objects, but I also have them rotating really fast at 90-degree intervals. And the reason I did that is that at this point of the music, there's this really intense bass. It's like, I'll just play a clip. I also used these sign objects, kind of toggling back and forth between two versions of them with glow on the side, just a subtle little detail to add some more texture. But yeah, since these dirt mounds are filling up most of the screen, the next important thing to do would be to fill them up with other stuff. I decided to go with the brick theme I had established earlier, adding these little bits that look like they're kind of embedded inside of the dirt using this object, kind of covering up little bits and pieces of them. And then matching the energy of the base again, I added this kind of overlay over the edges of the dirt that moves in this kind of janky way, and that really adds energy without having to move the gameplay itself, which would be really annoying. Other than that, I just added a bit of a crack texture, overlaying these objects on the bricks, and yeah, that's pretty much all I did here. And this looks cool, but it doesn't really feel immersive. So next I added some pipes, like I was planning on, and I added a few other little details inside the dirt here and there. I have like some vents. I know what you want to say, I'm not gonna say it. I have this safe, I have some skeletons in the ground. All of these I tried to keep pretty low objects. I have these pillars I added in the background. One extra layer can't hurt, you know? And the thing that I think makes this feel really immersive and like a real environment is that all these things move at a slightly different speed. There's a very subtle parallax that makes it feel like everything's separated from each other. Parallax honestly goes a long way in levels. I would highly recommend using a lot of it. And speaking of depth, I actually added more depth by adding this ground on the top and bottom that, again, kind of like the previous part, makes it feel like less straight and more organic, but also just having these things that move a lot faster, it feels like it's closer to the camera. It, again, adds more depth. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This part is Yeah, this part's done. Oh, wait, no, I totally forgot. Don't worry, guys, don't worry. I know what you were thinking. I remembered, it's okay. We have the worm for melodic travel. God, my retention's gotta be plummeting right now. Hey guys, I think it's time to bring in a famous person. Do you hear that? We got a famous guy. We got EVW here today to play the level. I thought it'd be cool to get a guest each episode to just play the level and kind of give thoughts on the gameplay, since up till this point, I haven't gotten any outside views on the gameplay other than my own experience with it. I just thought it would be cool to get a little extra feedback. And also the views.
So I'm trying to download. I guess it's not popping up. But
oh wait, let me accept your friend request. I totally forgot. Yeah. Oops. There we go. Whoa, I got this friend request from this guy named EVW. I don't know. Should I accept it? Does he have creator points? Oh, he has 2 creator points. Okay, I think I
do. Look at that. Oh, you tried to get me, but you couldn't because I made a fantastic level all by myself without the help of anybody.
So I got EVW right here. Thanks so much, man, for agreeing to do this. I got him here to playtest Cellar Path.
Hi. I am now a playtester of levels. So before I get them in my video, I can fix them in real time.
True. He did this with Woolsey, and now it's becoming a running trend.
So tell me more about Cellar Path. This is an extreme demon.
Yes, this is a solo extreme demon I'm working on. It's my first extreme demon that I've ever made. I'm going to be verifying it myself. It's going to be my hardest completion. The difficulty is probably somewhere between Bloodbath to Blade of Justice.
That's like a harder, easy extreme demon.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, so I've already decorated a little bit of this, but you get to see some of the decoration I've been working on as well, so I guess you can comment on that too.
So this is like this is a preview in a way. It's not just layout. It's a preview, all the gameplay, and a little bit of a preview. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, how about we get started? Do you want me to just jump in?
Yeah.
Anything you want to mention to me before I go in?
One thing I should mention, this was actually inspired by the cellar at one of my brother's houses.
Oh, okay. So, dude, does your brother live in like a mansion with like a creepy cellar or something? Like,
yeah, no, he lives in it's like a triplex. It's just got this really old cellar in the back, like 100 years old or something.
Wow, that's ancient, dude. Some of the jumps are much harder than the other ones. Like this one right here seems like pretty free, right? Maybe a little more harder just on this part right here. That was fun. That was fun, the beginning part. And then the flying looks like bananas.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. This entire level is in dual mode, so it has fixed camera. You notice how the cube didn't move the camera around. And so you have heavier ship gravity. This is probably the hardest ship part.
I wasn't ready to have that heavier because like I totally was just playing it like it was lighter. I was wondering like, why am I dying mind games? Pretty cool though. I do like that it does that. That's so unique, right?
Yeah, it's like it's got novelty to it.
Yeah,
for sure.
I love unique stuff like that.
And then here with these last couple inputs, I actually took advantage of the heavier gravity, and I have it so you have to like maneuver like in these really tight gaps like that. That wouldn't work with a normal ship. You wouldn't be able to go up that fast.
That is really fun to play, and so far I'm pretty impressed. I will say some of the jumps in the very beginning of the level though, when I did say they were free, some of them were like really free. Yeah, this is also pretty challenging. Dude, I love music sync, like unique music sync things like that, you know?
Yeah. I use this blue pad gimmick a lot, and then I tried to like change it up and have it so you have to do it a little bit differently a couple times near the end.
This ball part I really like. I think it's really cool.
What are you doing?
Why am I? Oh, what am I doing?
No.
Just fall down. Yeah. Cut it out of the video. Cut it out.
No, I'm leaving that in.
Nice. This is one of those levels where I feel like this would get hyper consistent. Like I feel like you've given a lot of thought to making consistent gameplay. Oh, the attempt is blocking the spikes. Come on, attempt 224 out of the way.
I need to nerf the attempts.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh, dude, that was fun, man.
Nice.
That's pretty fun. Yeah, that does get consistent, dude. This is pretty good with the piano. In terms of difficulty so far, seems really well balanced. I would say the only parts that were easy were like I said, the cube at the beginning was really easy aside from 2 inputs. I have really no feedback to give because it's exactly the difficulty I think you're setting out to do, which is like around like a little bit harder harder than Bloodbath, right? Okay, now we got a bit of some swing copter action going on here, which I haven't done a swing copter in ages, so holy crap, this is gonna destroy my life.
Yeah, I mean, you did Red World Rebirth. That has really hard swing copter parts. I've played Red World Rebirth just a little bit, and it doesn't get consistent very fast for me.
No, the problem with the Red World swing copter is it's absolute bullshit.
I tried to use a lot of Kirby gameplay, a lot of orbs and bobbing around. It's very little straight fly, so I really tried to take advantage of the heavy ship gravity.
It's really fun because honestly, there's so many levels that just have they're like, oh, time for a hard straight fly part because we need it up the difficulty of the flying, you know? This feels, I was going to mention before you said that, this feels really unique, and it actually makes use of the song. I'm finding when I'm pushing to go around the curves. It's really fun. It's really fun. I'm really enjoying this, honestly.
I'm pretty sure this is the first Extreme Demon to have the dual borders for the entirety of the level.
That's so unique, dude. That's honestly, I'm kind of honored that I get to play test such a unique Extreme Demon, because this is this is gonna be solid. This is gonna be a popular level when it comes out.
Yeah, I hope Aeon plays it. That would be fun to watch.
But I don't know if it's just me, but this robot part is kicking my booty, and I don't know if it's pretty tough, and it's kind of in your face the whole way. There's not many easy jumps, although this buffer is nice. That buffer is the green orb buffer.
I've noticed the same thing. I actually have one of the hardest times with this part. It's one of the hardest parts for me. I have considered nerfing this part just a little bit.
A couple of the really hard jumps, just a little bit wider of a gap, you know?
Yeah.
But not much, because it's almost at that same spot as the other ones are, the other parts of the level, but it definitely feels a little bit off. Okay, and now to the wave. And the wave, sometimes me and the wave we're good. Sometimes me and the wave we suck.
Also, I suck at the wave, so the wave parts in this level are not going to be that hard.
Nice. Yeah, it's chill. I got that. Some people will be like, hard demon gameplay on this part, because
I hate those people.
Insane. They're just, yeah, me too. I feel like that was one of the harder parts of the level, but I'm not too sure if it's because I suck at the wave. Talking about things that I'm good at and things that I'm not good at, because it might just be because I suck at the wave, you know?
It is hard to say, with having your own skill set, and that's been a challenge for me with this level, is my balancing just reflecting my skill set? Is this part actually way harder than the rest of these parts?
I don't know if I just suck, but this blue jump orb seems pretty tough. Could just be me being bad.
It is.
Yeah, this blue jump orb seems really hard.
Yeah, it is right near the beginning of the transition, so that might be a good one to nerf, because I don't like having really hard parts right after a transition.
Yeah, I get you, and I'm the same as well. This is one of those parts where I'm pretty sure it would get consistent. It's pretty learny for sure, but that's not a bad thing. I think right now I'm sucking, but if I went back through the section, I think I would nail it really fast.
This ball part might be one of the harder parts of the level. I kind of the way I designed this level is it does get slightly harder as it goes, but I tried not to do that too much.
Yeah, it could just be a me thing as well.
That part was harder, but I nerfed it because it was kind of inconsistent. That's another thing I've done in this level is I intentionally nerf parts that are harder to make consistent.
That's a really good idea. It's probably why I like your gameplay so much. I think that part, just the beginning of the ball and the robot, a couple of the jumps in the robot parts are the only parts that I'd say to really nerf. And then maybe also to counter that buff, a couple of the inputs at the beginning are super easy. Oh, dude. Whoa.
This is spider hitbox abuse.
Oh, for sure. I guess it's really not that hard. It's just yeah.
It's way easier than it looks. This spider part is, from my own experience, is one of the harder parts at first, but it's one of the parts that gets the most consistent. Also, I tried to use a lot of spider gameplay in this level just for the sake that people don't like spider gameplay. I wanted to prove that it can be done well.
Ooh, I pressed it too. I went too ham once I got out.
I don't know what you're doing there.
A green orb seems... What am I doing, dude? Ooh, dude, that's pretty challenging. I do gotta say, the hitting the button 2 times really quick. Although it is really good, and I'm sure I just need to practice it more. But
it could nerf that one timing with the 2 spikes next to each other just a tiny bit. But
yeah. Cool. So back to now it's a thick ship, but with the dual. So it's gonna be really heavy, and then you just hold it down. What am I doing? The uniqueness of this part is if it was just a normal ship, yeah, it would be simple and easy to get, but because of the nature of the duel, it makes it really fun.
Yeah, it's interesting because usually dual ship gameplay is attached with being really unfun. I wanted to try to take its its quirks and use them in a way where they play to an advantage. This part's
Okay.
interesting. You don't actually hit that green orb.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. The green orbs is there so you like don't like buffer the jump too early.
Yeah, you have to buffer it because the spikes are really like it's a quad spike. There is like almost a frame perfect. You have to buffer it after you pass the green orb, so that's the timing.
Yeah, that's pretty consistent and solid. That's good.
I think this part's pretty unique. Oh, you can just do that. I'll take notes on that.
There we go. I broke it. I broke it finally.
You found something, and see, this is why we get playtesters.
Nice. That's fun, dude. That's really good. I found that more consistent than the other spider part for sure.
I'd also tried to make this part a little bit easier because it's building up to the final drop, and so I tried not to make these parts too hard.
I can tell that the ending is harder than the beginning for sure. Like the beginning parts I was getting through pretty easily, like the first 40%. I do find it is quite a lot harder though for me, but
Yeah.
it's just, like I said, it could just be a me thing, right?
Got you. This wave is like, you can do a complete run of this wave just out of nowhere, and then like other times it'll just trip you out. Like when you're in the middle of it, you'll just like panic and have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, that's right. It kind of has that feeling to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. It helps if you make a loud sound.
It does. Dude, I'm the kind of guy that plays racing games and then like I lean into my turns, you know?
Whenever I'm opening like a bag of chips or like a jar or something and it's really hard to open, I'll just go like, "Ah!"
Ooh, dude, that's cool. Now you get the actual duel. The duel's been building up the whole time. Now it's real, dude.
The other thing is I couldn't have a duel until like the very last part. Once I make it like separated duel, it has to stay that way because it pushes the top one like it's been stuck in the top of the screen the whole time. And so once it pushes it out, it's really hard to like isolate it and get it back up there like guaranteed.
No, I get you, yeah. Like it's something I don't even think about as a player, but like as a creator, those are things like you got to think about, like getting the objects to where you need them to be so it doesn't seem like weird. Okay, wow, that was cool.
You have to hit all the orbs as the UFO and then make sure the ship goes at the right angle while you're up there.
That's pretty challenging, yeah. Holy shoot.
It's definitely the most learning part of the level.
Yeah, you just kind of tap it. But then the last one, you got to tap it up though and bounce it. Okay, that's pretty challenging. Hold and then like, okay, hold a little. Got to go down a little bit faster. Wow, that's really challenging.
I think I should nerf this duel a little bit.
Little bit. I think the duel up to this part is good. This part is quite hard though.
I should probably explain this part. Basically, what you have to do is you have to go into all the portals, like up and then down into them, and then you got to keep the ship as much in the middle as possible. So you kind of click to the music, hold through each portal. That's what I meant to say.
Why doesn't the ship change gravity when the wave changes gravity?
It's weird because some game modes do, and some of them don't.
Dude, what? Man, that's weird. That's tripping me out. Like, I thought the ship would be switching too, right?
The ship, the way it moves is exponential. So the more you hold down, it exponentially moves up. The bigger the click is on the wave, like the exponentially bigger impact it'll have on the ship. So it's like the relationship between them is really strange, but it's cool and I like it. Also, it was terrible trying to get this part to work on 60 hertz too. This wave part at the end is like very hard. I might nerf it, but at the same time, I kind of want it to be like really intense.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty hard, but it's not. I don't think it's super egregiously hard, you know? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we have
just a few timings at the end.
We have a nerve destroyer.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty easy. Ooh, that last one's pretty far away though. Okay.
The music's like actively slowing down, so I try to reflect that in how each spike gets further away every click.
That's a nice touch, yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really cool ending. Holy
That's
shoot.
the level.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely think what you are doing needs a little bit of rebalancing. Like the end of the level, it does get harder than the beginning, and I know you said you wanted to do that. However, I do think it's like quite a lot harder. There's just a couple parts at the end that could go for some nerfing, like one of the parts in the duel that I mentioned though that I had like a really hard time with. But other than that, like most of the parts at the end are good. It says there were a couple hiccups, which if you go back through the footage, you'll be able to see which parts I was having like a really hard time with. And as always mentioned though, however, this is just one tester and it's my specific skill set. But overall, dude, I'm excited for this level. It's really cool. So yeah, no, you test it with other people too. Like see what they say. And I'm sure once you like, makes the rounds with a couple other people, I'm sure it's going to be good to go. I do appreciate you having me on first, though, to do it. And I honestly, like, considering I'm the first person to have tested it, I think the level's, like, already in a pretty sweet place. It's just, like, these changes are fairly minor, you know?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, go make sure you check out Jamit's channel because he's gonna have updates on it. And then I'm like, wait, this isn't my channel.
Guys, be sure to check out EVW's channel if you haven't.
There we go. That's what needs to happen. What am I doing?
So originally, after I showed EVW playtesting the level, I had this whole thing recorded where I went through and just edited everything that EVW said I should change, went and explained everything I was changing. But this video is already like 12 years long, so I'm just gonna summarize. Basically, yeah, so the duel at the very end, I nerfed a couple of the timings there. I buffed a few of the jumps in the cube at the very beginning. I nerfed that one robot part, which honestly I probably would have done that anyway. And yeah, in general, I just nerfed a lot of the stuff like in the second half of the level, made it a little bit easier. Originally, I wanted for the level to progressively get a bit harder as it went, but EVW kind of got me thinking, I'm going to be targeting this level more towards people who are like doing this as a new hardest or who aren't experienced with really hard levels, and I think just in general it would be good design to have this level give them a fair chance if they get far, and I mean I'm verifying this, so just saying. But yeah, that's pretty much all I changed. I fixed that one blue pad skip that EVW found. Yeah, get people to playtest your levels. That is a very good thing to do. You should do that. And thank you so much to EVW for being in this episode. Honestly, I don't know how I got him to do it either. If any of you want to playtest this level, you can DM me on Discord, and maybe you can do it in an episode. Most likely not. I mean, I'm not gonna have very many episodes of this. But also, if you just want to playtest this level not in a video, my highest tier on Patreon actually has a perk where you can play tons of unlisted copies of any level I'm working on and just practice it ahead of time, give me feedback on things that you think I should change. You can also hide stuff in this level, which is pretty cool, as long as it's something reasonable. I don't want NSFW that takes 20,000 objects. Also, the 2 tiers below that can playtest my levels 2 days early, so you won't get to playtest it as early on, but you can still give me feedback and just see if there's any serious issues with the level. Yeah, consider giving me money. I like money. Money is cool. I like it. Yeah, I can eat and live. I like that. Okay, on to the last part. So the first thing you might notice in this part is that it carries the ground and vines over from the previous part. That's just kind of in tune with the whole continuous feel I wanted in this level. I'm not lazy, that's not the reason. For the block design specific to this part, again I started with a base, just getting down the basic color and shape that I wanted. I used this specific object to create these kind of circular cracks inside of the rock, which I think that looks pretty cool. For the spikes, I didn't do anything too crazy, I just used this one slope object, copied and pasted and flipped, and that makes for a pretty cool spike design. I tried to create some variation in the exact shape of these arches so different parts have different thicknesses, and I also got some little wood structures sticking out of the sides in some places, just to have some variation so it doesn't get super samey. And now that the base was down, I started filling in the details of the block design. Now I wouldn't be myself if I weren't stealing some idea from MPika. A while ago you saw my Mackinac video, you might have seen that. He has a part in that level too, and he came up with this cool brick design, and so I wanted to do something similar. I didn't want to do the exact same thing, but what I found looks pretty cool is layering these 2 different types of bricks because they have the same tile set. I changed the color of some bricks for a little bit of variation and added some rock outline tiles in order to create this cool like crack texture. Now like I've said before, my goal with this level is to create something immersive and atmospheric, so the next thing I did was add some details that would enhance that feeling. These objects I showed before make some great wires, but they also make great vines. You really can do anything with these things, honestly. They are the duct tape of optimization. Again, from earlier parts, I have the cobwebs and mushrooms carrying over. You'll probably be seeing this until there's a hard transition at some point. The mushrooms are getting smaller though, just some sort of progression, I don't know. The structures felt a little flat, so I added some shading to make them pop a little bit more, look a little more three-dimensional. And then it was on to the background. I wanted this part to feel like it's opening up from the last part that felt very closed in, so I created a much more strong parallax that's moving a lot slower so that it'll feel bigger and further away. Moving objects tend to lag a lot more than objects that aren't moving, so I'm trying to keep the background simple in this level. This background is really just made of this one cloud object and just uses like 200, 300 objects. I'll put it on screen exactly how many it uses. But yeah, that's not a lot. I made each layer get a bit darker as it goes back, which enhances that feeling of depth. Now speaking of parallax, this wouldn't be a jam attack level if it didn't have a realistic parallax effect. I had a cool idea to make these 3D arches that kind of move past the gameplay. Originally they looked pretty copy-pasted and not very organic at all. So what I actually did was I rotated each column a little bit, which adds some variation and makes them look a lot more organic. No, I don't have footage of what it looked like originally, I forgot to record that. And I actually layered these columns so that the player's glow from the previous part would carry over and actually go over them so that you can see where the player is at all times. But on top of that, I also added outlines to everything that go above these arches so that you can see where the gameplay is as well. Finally, I just wanted to add a little more energy to this part as it feels like it's kind of building up. And so I took inspiration from this one effect I've seen Overdefo use a lot. I really like the sense of motion it gives, and I wanted this part to feel like you're trudging forward. So I added some glow strips moving past the player really quickly, so it kind of feels like pushing through a dust storm or something. I've gotten the comment that it's a little weird that there's stuff blowing past you underground, but the point of this is that things are going to start feeling more surreal as you get further along the Cellar Path. Things are kind of going to come alive with magic, and so I want to kind of create more of a surreal feeling as you go. But yeah, that's every part for this episode. Don't go. I mean, I'm assuming you want to see the showcase of everything I've built in this episode. I'm gonna have my patrons and YouTube members scroll across the bottom of the screen while I show this. And I had a few people cancel, and YouTube doesn't really show you what members you've had in the past. Patreon does, but YouTube doesn't. Anyway, I've tried to track everyone down, but if you were a member at some point and you're seeing this and your name isn't here, then just contact me. I can see if I can get you refunded. But yeah, anyway, join my Patreon, get your name at the end of the videos, get a lot of other cool perks. Also, if you want to see me build this level live, go ahead and follow me on Twitch. I'll put a link for that in the description. I stream working on this level quite a lot, actually. And yeah, here's the showcase.